Hi, it's Chris Watkins here from Landlord Farming, and I'm with Robin and Eddie from Property Stream. Guys, what are the top 3 tips for estate agency branding? Talk to me.
So the most important thing for branding in all sectors is to get your messaging right and your tone of voice, and because branding is your personality, so it's what people think, their perception of your business. So it's so important to sit down with your team and ideally your customers and really refine who you are, your personality, why you're different. And it's only at that stage, once you've actually got all that down, written down, just words at this stage, do you even think about going down and creating pretty pictures and logos and colours and stuff like that?
Because it's just all about logos branding, isn't it?
So it's so important to get the basics and get the words right. So it's all about words, and then the pretty pictures and the logos and the colours is like the clothes that you sit around.
So what does that look like in the real world with a estate agency?
So in terms of, let's say, UMove, for instance, so the UK's most trusted estate agent. So they've got this fantastic sort of strap line based on lots of positive reviews, and those are the words, and that's a really strong message to be getting across.
What do you think local estate agents could do? Because obviously they're not an independent agent, a big agent like you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it really matters what size you're at all, because ultimately you've got a personality, you've got a message, and you've got a tone of voice. Whether you're one like a startup or 100, 200 branch agency, national agency, it doesn't make any difference. You have a personality and you have a message, and you should have a tone of voice.
So really what you're saying is sit down with the team, write out what your firm is all about, and that is a great starting place to start your branding.
And any of your sort of creative agencies, if they come to you and start talking about pretty pictures and colours and logos
and fonts
first,
and Pantone colours,
then if they don't talk about the messaging and the tone of voice first of all, then I'd have some quite severe words with them, or go and look for someone else.
Good job. There you go. There's top tip 1. Let's go to top tip number 2. Top tip 2.
So being different in a estate agency isn't actually all that hard, because we do chuckle with each other sometimes. We'll go onto the high street and we'll see 5 or 6 estate agents who position themselves right next to each other, and some of them have got the same colours. They've got logos that look very similar.
Well, all estate agents are the same, aren't they?
Yeah,
we all go on we all have for sale boards. We all go on Rightmove. We all
absolutely.
have offices.
So it's not actually that hard to be different. And if you go bananas, you just put a bit of thought about doing something a bit different.
What? So we're talking about blow up bananas here?
Okay, so an example of that. So we've got a client called Mayer's Estate Agency based in Poundbury, and we created 5 different for sale boards for them.
Really?
And part of their branding had different animals on that represented different sort of personality traits of the business. So calm and collected was a swan, clever was a fox, great marketing was a peacock. So we had these different boards, and these were popping up around different places in the town, and kids were taking pictures of them and sharing them at school like top trumps. And
this is estate agency boards?
Estate agency boards.
No.
And the local media are actually coming in, taking pictures of them as well. And this was all sort of free publicity.
What, just for some bloody for sale boards?
Just for some for sale boards. So doing something a tiny bit different has created this sort of media hype, and people are going to Mayors and sort of saying, well, I want a board with a peacock on, and so they spent a bit more, they've done something a bit different, and the rewards from that has been, astronomical.
You surprised me, genuinely, and I'm open to those ideas. Because I must admit, I think a lot of estate agents hide behind their branding. But I think what you're trying to say here is that they're not just hiding behind a font or a logo. They're actually going out there and being not different for different sake, but being different that's relevant to the community, because obviously the local press have got involved.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, they have to be different, because not everyone is different. Every personality is different.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you actually? You were right there at the start with the UMove branding, with the sheep and things like that.
Yeah. So I'd throw it back to you. And do you think UMove would have got to where they were so quickly? From a start-up to...
No, I don't think they would have.
If they didn't have a brand that really got them noticed and made them stand out from the crowd.
It certainly was an interesting brand, and I think a lot of estate agents derided it to the start at the start.
Yeah.
But when Martin and Co paid all those millions for it,
absolutely.
which I know we'll have a chat about that later, there must be something behind it. They are growing very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Interesting. So there you go. There's another top tip. Let's move on to number 3. So what's the third top tip on branding for estate agents?
Okay, so if you've invested and you've got some consultants in, you've got a branding agency to come and have a look at your tone of voice, your messaging, and you've created these lovely pictures and great for sale boards, and then you don't apply it consistently across everything you do, and that's not just your marketing in terms of your printed collateral, your brochures, your flyers, your sale boards. If you don't sort of train your staff and the people who work for you to sort of actually relay those messages.
What does that actually look like in real world? So the guys out there in estate agency land can take something from this?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think in terms of sort of bringing up to speed your staff and getting them involved in that process, if they can be involved in part of that sort of branding process and getting...
Well, then they own part of it.
They do, yeah, absolutely. Then they feel like they're involved, they feel a part of it. Another good example of that is another example with YouMove, and we did it with White Gates as well, is when we did a new for sale board, we did, let's say, 10 different variants of it, and we sent it out to all the franchisees and said, look, pick your top 3. And so they felt like they were involved in it. And when the latest for sale board was picked, they took ownership of it, so it made a big difference.
So what you're trying to say is be consistent, and I think from all the 3 tips, get your staff involved.
Absolutely, yeah, and even sometimes your customers as well, because they're the ones who are going to give you the best feedback and the most honest feedback.
Well, there you go. That's 3 top tips on your branding for estate agency from the boys at Property Stream. Thanks very much, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.